Good afternoon. Welcome to the August 11th, 2021 meeting of the Senior Commission. Will the staff secretary please call the roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Ambrosi?
Here.
Commissioner Crawford?
Here.
Commissioner Garibaldi?
Here.
Commissioner Knapp?
Here.
Commissioner Perry?
Here.
Commissioner Rain?
Here.
And Commissioner Zamora is excused.
All right, thank you. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. So, everyone stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So can the secretary read the procedures for addressing the commission today?
Citizens addressing the commission during public comment are asked to approach the podium and are limited to 3 minutes unless extended by the chair, and must be regarding items that are not listed on the agenda and are within the city's jurisdiction. The Brown Act does not permit any action or discussion on items not listed on the agenda. No action will be taken on items addressed under public comments. Public comment can also be made by calling 916-774-5353.
All right, so I will now open public comments. And again, citizens addressing the commission during public comments are asked to approach the podium and are limited to 3 minutes unless extended by the chair. And must be regarding items that aren't listed on the agenda and where the city's jurisdiction. The Brown Act does not permit any action or discussion on items not listed on the agenda. No action will be taken on items addressed under public comments. Again, that phone number is 916-774-5353. So you can go ahead and step up to the podium if you have public comments.
Hello, my name is Jim Williams. I've actually got 2 comments. One, I'd like to suggest that the Senior Commission give the Public Works Department a nudge to repave the walking trail around Maidu Park along McLaren Drive. The pavement is so cracked and rough, it's a trip and fall hazard for people trying to use it, especially us old guys. The other item I have is that the Transportation Department has this boundary line at the county, and for people trying to use Kaiser Permanente just off Orlando Boulevard, they have to wait 30 or 40 minutes in the hot sun for a change from Sacramento City Bus to Roseville City Bus to go the rest of the way to the Kaiser Hospital. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. And did we have any phone calls? No? All right. Any other public comments? No? All right. So we'll go ahead and close the public comments. And next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
And let's go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No, that was unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to the next section. Let's see. So, agenda item. So welcome new senior commissioners. Kathy?
Hello, commissioners, and welcome back. It's so great to actually see everybody and not just on a screen. I'm Kathy Barsotti. I'm a Parks, Recreation, and Libraries manager, And today, this topic is we want to welcome and introduce our new senior commissioners who have actually been senior commissioners for 8 months. And this is their first meeting due to COVID. So I'd like to welcome Renee Ambrosi and Kathleen Crawford to the commission. And we welcome you, and we're very glad that you're here to sort of help this commission keep moving forward with senior initiatives. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to you if you want to say anything to the commission really quickly.
Okay, I have lived, my name's Renee Ambrosi. I've lived in Roseville only since 2016. And I decided to apply for this commission because I'm a retired registered nurse and dealt with a lot of geriatric patients in my practice, and also in my personal life dealt with family issues that I think are universal. So I wanted to see if I could help out.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Kathleen Crawford. I've lived in Roseville for 10 years. I retired here from the Bay Area. I lived in Oakland for 40 years, so this has been a rather big change, both weather-wise and communities. I am living in Sun City, Roseville. I have family here in Roseville, which was the reason for my relocation. And I've been pretty active with my grandchildren in terms of their school and all things that are happening in the community, parks and rec, schooling. So as they've gotten older and need less help from me, I thought, well, I should film some time with some other things. And so when this opening came up on the Senior Commission, I thought, well, as a resident of Sun City, I certainly hear and see a lot about senior issues, so I should apply. And I was very happy to be approved. Thank you.
Welcome, Kathleen. Do we have any public comments? All right, so moving on. Agenda item 6.2, appointment of a new chair and vice chair. Kathy.
Hello again, Commissioner. You're going to hear a lot from me today. So as part of the meeting procedures at the first meeting of each year is a requirement that we appoint a new chair and vice chair to the Senior Commission. So this is an action item. So you saw that in your packet that there's an action that is required. Generally what happens is the commission, you will nominate one another, and if whoever agrees, then we'll have someone actually put that to vote, and then we will have a new chair and vice chair. This term will run through the end of this year, so it'll be this meeting and the November meeting that they will be in this role, and then we will do it again next February at the new meeting. Yes, okay. Yeah, Lola can lead this discussion now.
Okay, yes.
I'd like to nominate you because you're doing such a great job so far, and you've got a great voice.
Well,
I'd like to
thank
nominate you for chair.
Okay. Is this what we get all nominations?
Is there
out?
any other discussion that you guys want to have on that? Okay,
Should I second it already?
you can second it.
I will second that motion.
Okay, and so now we go to a vote.
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all opposed? Unanimous? All right,
It's
great.
nice to know that you agreed to do it. So. Now we'll do the vice chair.
Okay, so now any nominations for vice chair?
Well, I have a question. Who else has been on the commission for more than a year? I mean,
I've been on for 5 years.
for 5 years. Brian?
Yes.
Okay, and Bobby, you've been on for?
6 years, I think, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Bobby?
So, do either of you have an interest in being vice chair?
No.
That kind of limits it.
I think it's time for some of the new people to step up and learn from your chair. So I think it's time to hand off to others to be in charge.
I'd nominate Mike Garibaldi.
All righty.
Okay.
Seems agreeable.
All right.
Okay, so should we vote?
Motion, yeah.
All right,
You
so
need a
that was
second. You need a
that was
second.
Second?
I'll
Second?
second it.
Okay, and let's vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed?
Great.
Congratulations, Mike.
Okay, well, congratulations to the both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. So do we have any public comments on this section of the agenda?
We've done that before the vote.
Oh, before the vote, sorry.
That's okay.
I'll remember next time. All right, so agenda item 6.3, we have the Placer County Health Brain Initiative, and Tasha Stevens is here with us.
So really quickly, I would like to introduce Tasha Stevens. She's a program coordinator for Placer County. And I've been trying to keep the commission abreast of sort of the work that we are doing on this committee. But she will explain the whole thing. But this is really this great committee that she reached out to me. I don't even know how you got my name, but she reached out to me. And this is right. And I got on the committee immediately because knowing the commission and sort of what motivates the commission, types of things that you all are interested in, I felt like this lined up very nicely with it. And then when I sent out the information, Brian Perry, or Commissioner Perry, volunteered to help out with the transportation because of your goals. So I'm going to hand it over to Tasha, and she will provide you some great information.
Perfect. Thank you, Kathy. Can you all hear me? Thank you so much for having me today. Again, my name is Tasha, and I'm really excited to kind of go over our new program. And truly, Kathy has been a godsend to our initiative and such a great advocate. And so just so excited. Go ahead and next slide. So a little bit about the Placer County Healthy Brain Initiative and kind of how it came to be. So dementia-friendly work is actually a very new kind of trailblazer initiative all across public health. It came down through the CDC and the Alzheimer's Association, created a roadmap for local communities to start to implement policy and system change initiatives to make communities more dementia-friendly. In that, the state of California recently released funding for local health jurisdictions to start this work. And Placer County is the first of 6 to actually receive any funding from the state of California to do this. And we're kind of trailblazing. Next slide. So as I mentioned, our initiative is funded through the Placer County Public Health Division and Health and Human Services. And our focus is to create dementia-friendly communities. And it's kind of an overarching term. Dementia-friendly is a community, city, neighborhood in which those living with dementia and those providing care or supporting those feel respected, understood, and valued in their community. It's a community in which we create programs and infrastructure so that these members can feel supported and stay in the community of their choosing for as long as possible. Next slide. Our vision is that we foster a community that understands, respects, and supports individuals impacted by Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. And our mission is that we will ensure that all residents with dementia-related cognitive impairment and their care providers have access to the necessary supports and resources so they may remain independent and fulfilled in their community. Next slide. And so just a little bit about why it's so important for Placer County. We are an aging community. Our current population sits about 22% is age 65 and older. And by 2025, we anticipate an additional 62% increase in this group. Even with the hard year of COVID, Alzheimer's disease is still the 3rd leading cause of death in our community. And we are the top 15 counties in California, within the top 15 counties in California, with the highest incidence of Alzheimer's-related death and disease. And with this growing population, with this increase that we are going to see, we understand that our current support structures, our skilled nursing homes, our assisted living facilities, will not be able to accommodate this influx. And so we have to create a space and resources in which individuals can age safely in their home. Next slide. So how this came about is it's been, we started in 2020 in August in the midst of COVID. I got hired to start, and we immediately jumped in with a community needs assessment. So while we were given guidance from the state of what they would like to see, we wanted to understand what the most appropriate interventions for our community would be. We started with 20 advisory committee members. We're up to 40 now. It's been amazing. But we kind of assessed our current infrastructure, every resource that we have, and what we're kind of hearing from our community members, and determined 4 sectors of our larger community that we wanted to impact and kind of create system change. And that's with early detection and referral, public transportation, public safety and emergency preparedness, and then community education and engagement. Next slide. From this, we created a very robust community action plan that outlines strategies that my program as well as HHS is going to take on to start to create and mobilize this system change. And I'm going to kind of go over what each objective is for, the rationale behind, and where we're at currently. Next slide. So the first one is community education and engagement. And the reason for this is before we can become dementia friendly, we all must be dementia aware. And unfortunately, many people believe that the symptoms related with dementia and Alzheimer's are a normal part of aging, but they are not. And the disease is severely stigmatized due to just the kind of the scariness of it. So we wanted to create widespread community education and awareness so that we can normalize conversations. Next slide. So where we're at currently with the support of our advisory committees, we've developed 2 beautiful PSA or public service announcements that are going to highlight the hidden signs of Alzheimer's, as well as healthy habits that we can all implement in our lives today to promote cognition and healthy cognition at every stage of life. We intend to do a paid media campaign where we're going to be placing these PSAs as well as other advertisements that we've created in alignment with the Alzheimer's Association through streaming platforms as well as a full print media campaign across the county. Also in conjunction with our advisory committee members, we're doing earned media and education campaigns to outreach to our most underserved population, as well as just to the whole target demographic to increase education. And I know, is Stephanie?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have the video.
Hi. We do have both videos that we wanted to share with you. So you can go ahead and play them. The first will be the Know Where Alzheimer's Hides, and the second is our healthy habits for healthy aging.
It's not the way it used to be. We used to do everything together. Now it's different.
When I look around me, I don't recognize things anymore. I want to connect, but nothing feels familiar.
Sometimes he seems like he's somewhere else.
When did everything get so confusing? I just feel a little lost.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Awesome. Thank you. So those are the 2 separate ads. We did an amazing media utilization survey that received over 200 responses from members of our community. Thanks to Kathy, a large member of that. A large majority of those survey analysis was from Roseville. But based on that feedback, we're going to send it to our external contractor to do the paid media placement. Next slide. So our second objective is really focused around early detection and referral. And, obviously, without knowing about Alzheimer's, you don't speak to your care practitioner about it. But early detection is a core public health strategy to help support this population and this change. When we have early detection, we are able to support individuals by creating a care plan, ensuring that they have access to the resources that they need, and even addressing potential comorbidities that might be the result of the cognitive decline if it's not related to a specific dementia. So not only are we working to encourage our residents to have these conversations with their care practitioners, but also ensuring that our healthcare practitioners understand that how to bring this conversation up into annual physicals and that they are using the appropriate tools to expedite dementia diagnosis, because currently the typical wait time for a dementia diagnosis or specialist is about 6 to 8 months. Next slide. So this is it's a hefty undertaking, but we have partnered with my program, Adult Protective Services, and Sutter Memory Care to work with our primary care practitioners to see if they would implement the utilization of the CDPH Cognitive Complaints Assessment Toolkit. And what this toolkit does is it gives our primary care practitioners the ability to do a cognitive complaint assessment with their patient and either appropriately refer out or to diagnose Alzheimer's and dementia right then and there. What it does is it reduces the burden on our referral system and allows our most at-risk, isolated, both socially and geographically, residents to move through that referral process sooner. We've also partnered with Sutter Injury Prevention to create first responder education cards that they would provide in response to any kind of fall. I don't want to say fall call, but that's where I'm at right now, a rhyme, so that they would be able to share education on how to prevent falls and also reduce the risk of falling for an elderly or demented resident. Next slide. Our third objective is still leaning into that public safety and emergency preparedness, but in a different route. So wandering is a very common habit with Alzheimer's and dementia. 7 out of 10 wander, and it is a life-threatening condition or habit. Typical search and rescue for a wandering incident is about 9 to 24 hours, and it is an all-hands-on-deck for our enforcement agency, meaning that every officer, every resource is allocated to finding this person. Through our grant funding, we've had the opportunity to purchase Project Lifesaver and give it to our enforcement agencies. And what this is it's a locative technology that residents can enroll in and uses radio frequency to be able to respond to a call, taking search and rescue down from 9+ hours to 30 minutes. Next slide. Because of this, we've been able to provide it to our enforcement partners at no cost and at no cost to residents who live in those jurisdictions. Currently, Lincoln has already implemented it, and it's been a success. They have over 25 residents enrolled and growing. Auburn is next. They are working and hoping to implement by August. And then I have been speaking to both Rockland and Roseville, and they've expressed interest as well. It's just kind of working through that. But it's also by having this, not only does it protect individuals who are at home alone and their care providers, but it also provides us an opportunity to do continued dementia awareness and best practice strategy engagement for our officers, because it can be a very stressful situation, and understanding the best strategies to approach and engage is important. Next slide. And our final one, and as Kathy mentioned, Commissioner Perry has been an amazing asset to this. We're working to implement and or expand our current micro transit and public transit programs so that they are more dementia friendly. And the reason for this is, first, while we have a couple urban pockets in Placer County, a majority of our county is very geographically isolated, and all of our care centers are here in Roseville for the most part. And then also, it's not just those who are in late stage dementia that we're trying to support. Many are in early mild cognition, or they haven't recognized it, or in stage 1, and they're functioning very independently. And these public transit or microtransit programs help them remain independent and help remain that autonomy. Next slide. So we've accomplished this by partnering with Seniors First to expand their current MyRides program, and they are also creating a caregiver transportation training that educates our caregivers on the best transit options for them in Placer County based on if they have dementia, if they have disabilities, etc. And then we've also partnered with Placer County Regional Transit Planning Authority and Roseville Alternative Transit Authority, and we're working to implement regular dementia awareness trainings for their transit operators so that they know how to best engage with residents using this, and that they can feel empowered to support them, and that our residents can feel empowered to still utilize these services. Next slide. So yeah, it's been a busy year, all of that. And we're in our second year of our grant now, and we're really focused on this part right here, which is community outreach and engagement, making sure that we're spreading the information, getting the information out there, connecting our residents to the resources. And I have to say, I've worked with a lot of California communities, and Placer County is very fortunate in the sense we are not at a loss of service providers. We have amazing community-based organizations who do direct service. It's just making sure our residents are aware of and access these resources on a regular basis, and making sure that we're all working together for the common good. Next slide. So that was a lot. Thank you so much. I realized after I sent this to Kathy that this is an outdated slide. My name is Tasha Stevens. My email is nstevens now. I'm happy to share that with Kathy if anyone has questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tasha. We appreciate the presentation. I have a couple of questions and comments, and then I'll open it up to the commission to ask questions and then the public to ask questions. So first off, thank you so much for doing this initiative. I've worked in senior care for over 10 years. I am a huge proponent of getting out there and educating around brain health, dementia, and fall prevention, which they're all related. And so I have a couple questions regarding your awareness campaign. And, one of them is that when we hear numbers like, 200 people responded to it was a poll or some research. That's a very small percentage of the whole population. And so what are your plans to get this out to the largest population possible?
So the plans with that is the 200 respondents was just an initial survey to best understand if we were to do earned media, what placements would we want to do. And from that, we've created a very diverse earned media and paid media strategy. So reaching out to different target groups that were identified both through the survey and by our advisory committee members, making sure that we're utilizing a variety of media sources in a very geographically diverse way, as well as print, newspaper, radio, magazine. And then for the larger paid media campaign, we also are hiring an external contractor. We haven't finalized that, so I can't say whom, but they are very, very qualified to do market research on how to get this information out and make sure that the placements are effective.
Okay. And do you have your budget on how much you're going to spend on the paid media in Placer County?
Yes, $35,000.
Okay. Great. And I'd like to share a story of a Placer County resident to just really emphasize why this communication and outreach and awareness building is so important. A wife and husband just purchased a home, I believe it's in Rockland, and the husband has dementia. He stands out on his carport whenever the neighbors walk by. He tells them that he wants to shoot himself, commit suicide. Luckily, he does not have a gun in the house, but his wife is beside herself, and she has no support except for that of the adult children. And, being able to reach people like that who feel completely alone and helpless is so important. And I think, both in the city of Roseville as well as the county, there are so many people in that situation that we can do all we can to help them. So it's initiatives like this that are very important.
Yes.
So questions, comments from the commissioners?
Yeah, Natasha, what was the name of that location technology that Lincoln Police Department implemented?
It's called Project Lifesaver.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Will any information be in the resource guide? And is there a new one coming out for us and for people in the community?
So I believe, yes, there will be a new one. I want to say that Seniors First updates on the regular. I don't know when their next update will be. They are a separate company or organization that leads that. But they will be putting the Project Lifesaver into that. And again, it's only in the communities. Residents who live in that community are eligible for enrollment. So if you live in the jurisdiction of Lincoln, then you would be eligible to enroll in their program. Same with Auburn.
Well, to have that for the families, children of the adults that are having problems, just a phone number to call would be great to have.
So wonderful. I will make sure of it.
And I'm Bobby, and congratulations on moving this all forward because it's very important. I'm kind of a senior advocate, but I'm a nurse that started in neonatal intensive care and went to older people because I'm older. So for Africa, for a lot of people, they don't have the knowledge of where to go. Have you contacted the 211 number that now covers Placer County? Because we're trying to send people to one place, and they let them know about Seniors First also. In the amount of time that I've worked with elderly people, the resources are there. They don't know how to access them. So in Placer County, on that council, we're looking at no closed door. So if you call a number, we want all the resources to have that information, and yours will be critical. We have a neighbor that we watch out for, Alzheimer's. Do you also work with UC Davis that has a large program on Alzheimer's too?
They have supported us. We don't work directly with them, but I know that Seniors First has worked with them, and I think they would refer out to 211, and we have spoken with 211 as well to make sure that all the resources are up to date.
Right, because that's
Yes.
just the key thing. There's so many resources,
Streamlining.
people just don't know. They feel so isolated and helpless as a caregiver because it's a 24/7 job. Thank you for your work.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you for the presentation. I enjoyed the videos. And what I wanted to offer is I kind of understand about these emergency situations, and one of the places where when people have lost everything is the emergency room, and they are inundated already. And I'm wondering if there was anything there that you could have for the nurses and/or people, social workers, to give to the families to know that they have resources, because I've seen a lot in emergency rooms when people can't do it anymore. That's where they head.
Yeah, we actually are working in partnership with a few of our setter champions to see if there's opportunity to provide some kind of leave behind or have it in the discharge paperwork, just navigating that system. But it's a wonderful idea, and thank you for, again.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's important in the emergency room. So last year, I took my mother who has some cognitive issues, and it was just a runaround. Finally, after 3 visits to the emergency room and then getting adult protective services involved, finally got some help at that point. But there's no guide. There's no here's the 3 steps to navigate this process. And so what kind of material? Do you have something already created that's here's these short processes to...
We do have a community resource card that we have that here are the main service providers that you should call in your community, and a little summary of what they do. But in terms of getting that into a hospital system, sometimes it has to be merged with their paperwork or their system. So it's understanding those boundaries and being able to work within that. But we do have on our website, we do have all of those resources available. And then I provided you all with a folder that has a little bit about our whole community action plan, if you'd like to read it page by page, as well as a few of the educational handouts that we've created under the county arm. But as I mentioned, we have so many amazing service providers that one of the main ways that our program is stepping in is by making sure that we can funnel all of our residents to that information. So if you go to our website, it mostly does link back to our community service providers' links and gets them connected to those existing resources.
Great. So,
A lot of seniors don't have access to a computer.
Mm-hmm.
To have something that they could put up on their fridge with big numbers, something of that to make a call, would be helpful. I don't know how you could do it, how we could do it, to get certain numbers out there to the seniors in our community, because it is a big community.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to go through and navigate through, I have a hard time navigating through a computer, so.
Yeah. Continuing, I know we're partnering with Auburn Senior Center. We're going to look at my Dew Senior Center, see what kind of print materials we can get available, Sun City, all of that, see where we can start to get these print materials so seniors could take if they went to a central location, as well as the first responder cards. They do have, that's kind of a key token where our enforcement partners, our firefighters would be able to leave that behind if they answered a call. Here's your next step. You've just had a fall. You've just had an incident. Here's education on it, and here's the next step of who you could contact to kind of follow that through. Yeah.
Okay.
There comments?
I'm wondering what the city of Roseville could do to implement the Lifesaver system.
Yes. We are working with Roseville now. They did have Project Lifesaver a few years back, apparently back in 2012, and they did express interest. So we're still communicating with them to see if there's opportunity to do so.
Because I think with the senior community here, Roseville's the largest senior community in terms of the county, in terms of just even looking at Sun City, West Park. We've got a lot of seniors who are aging in place, many of them, in their homes, and who do need some resources and assistance. So to have our police and law enforcement and fire be right up to speed on that would be really crucial, I would think.
So any other questions from the commissioners? We'll turn it over to the public.
I have one more question. Have you been connected to the Placer County Older Adult and Aging Commission?
Yes, I have, and hopefully we'll be giving a similar presentation at their next meeting.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect, because that they reach out to a lot of people, connect you to some of these, I think, where we can get the information out. It's so important. You do a lot of good work, and it just is unknown.
All right, so now's the time for public comments, and I also want to remind people that you can call in at 916-774-5353, and let's go ahead and welcome our first public comment.
Ryan Gessner, I thought that Roseville Police Department had a system where they gave the people, caregivers, to put on dementia patients that would track a patient, and that they were told within a certain period of time to call the police department and that they could then locate. I thought that was still in effect. When did it go out of effect?
I don't want to be misquoted, but I believe it was 2012.
Well, I had worked at the senior desk at MyDo, and we were telling people about that for quite a while, and we were never given any indication that it stopped. I'm hoping it's still in effect.
Thank you. Any other public comments? All right.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're at 6.4 on our agenda, Older Adult Visioning and Planning Team.
I'm going to introduce Christy LaRoche to you as we're swapping seats. Christy is one of our Parks, Recreation, and Library superintendents, and I know I'm stealing some of your thunder, but she oversees a lot in our department, but mainly her purpose for being here today is that she oversees programming for all ages and the city's special events. So I'll hand it over. I know I stole some of your thunder, sorry.
That is okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. So I'm here today to introduce and provide an overview for a new and updated older adult visioning and planning team and what our department has been working on to benefit older adults in the city of Roseville. As most of you know, Roseville has had a long history of creating programs and events for older adults. As you might also know, that MyDo Community Center has been a hub for our programs, in addition to a place for older adults to socialize, receive information on services that are available for specific age groups. In 1991, when MyDo Community Center was constructed, the senior wing identified as an area that was dedicated to older adult activities during the weekday mornings. This was a place where people would gather with friends, share experiences, or learn something new. Since then, many recreational programs have been offered through the department. In addition, we have made space for many agencies to provide a variety of services that are of benefit to the Roseville's aging community. With a focus on senior programming, the city decided to start a senior commission. The original group of 5 met and discussed various fun, educational, and social opportunities to the aging community. Over the years, the programming has changed and adapted with the community's feedback. Just a few years ago, staff began to research other senior centers. Through their conversations with them, determined that we should begin at thinking of programming in terms of older adults rather than seniors. This is when 50 and Better was born, also known as FAB. Our goal is to program for a larger span of ages and to get the attention of our community members starting at the age of 50. The vision is to have older adults considered Roseville's parks, recreation, libraries, facilities, and services as they continue to age and know that we are a resource for them and potentially their families. Here's what the research has shown us. Based on the 2020 census, there are 54 million people over the age of 65. Starting in 2030, with all the boomers will be older than 65. Older Americans will make up 21% of the population, which is up from 15% today. In 2050, you can see that it's anticipated at 88.5 million Americans will be 65 years or older. That's a $34.5 million increase in just 30 years. With that, what might be the most staggering statistical data is that in less than 2 decades, the graying of America, as the Census Bureau refers to this population, will be inescapable. Older adults are projected to outnumber kids for the first time in U.S. history. Already, the middle-aged outnumbered children, but the country will reach a new milestone in 2034, previously 2035. That year, the U.S. Census Bureau projects that older adults will edge out children in population size. People aged 65 and over are expected to outnumber 77 million, while children under the age of 18 will be 76.5 million. Our department is not only interested in the age-specific data, we are also looking at retirement data. By 2030, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 1 in every 5 residents will be of retirement age. And in 2020, Roseville was named by Money Magazine as one of the nation's best places to retire. So, this got us thinking. It's time for us to look at programming for older adults differently than how we do today. So what does this mean for Placer County and Roseville? In 2020, it's estimated that 100,000 residents are 60 years and older. And as the data shows, it will increase at an average of 26,000 each decade up until 2050. So planning for now and the future. Older adults who participate in activities have higher levels of health, social interaction, and life satisfaction than their peers. 70% of senior centers are women, and average age of senior centers is approximately 75 years. So then the question remains, how should we plan for a future of parks, recreation, and libraries so we are serving and prepared for the aging population? Thus came in the Older Adults Visioning and Planning Team. This was the birth of this initiative started by Kathy. We created a vision to determine what this community desires from its PRL department, and we wanted to combine our efforts with the senior and FAB programs, the Senior Commission, and a programming team. So we created a flash vote. Many of you have already been familiar with Flash Vote. If not, Flash Vote is a software company that helps states and local governments gather statistically valid community input in 48 hours. The city currently uses Flash Vote to get the pulse of the community on various topics such as housing, opening the city during the post-COVID, and when it was time to hire a new police chief, the city asked its residents what they wanted in a new chief. The PRL Older Adults team decided to send out a survey wanting to know what programs and events people participated in and why or why not. In 48 hours, we received 1,017 responses from people of all ages. We are able to filter the results in a few different ways, and the version in your packet that I will review is filtered by age. I'd like to share some overall outcomes from the survey. I realize this might be difficult to see on screen, so we've added the results in the packet. The yellow bars represent Roseville residents aged 46 through 60 years of age, and the green bars represent those of 61 and older. We will focus on the 61 and over results today. The first question is, in the last few years prior to COVID, which best describes our experience with these events and programs? As shown here, 29% of the respondents did not know about the events that we offer. 32% knew of them, but they didn't attend. And 35% actually did attend some of the programs and events. The second question, prior to the pandemic, which of the following City of Roseville sponsored or organized events have you attended, if any? Choose all that apply. The choices included from top to bottom comedy shows in downtown Roseville, concerts, health and wellness seminars or fairs, food and cultural festivals or wine tasting, fun runs, older adult programming at MyDo, such as Placer Protect, Senior Services, the FAB program, museum or library events or tours, and then finally they had an option to select, I have not attended any one of these. The majority of the 60-plus attended concerts, that was 34.6%, food and cultural festivals or wine tasting, 31.7%. Nearly 20% attended museum or library events or tours. If you notice, there's a trend on the 46 to 60-year-olds who seem to enjoy the same types of events. That being said, 39% of respondents have never attended any of these events. Reading through the comments, we found many of them do not know about city programs and events, and others do not have time or interest. This tells us we might need to change our marketing approach. The third question, as things reopen and return to normal, which of the following types of potential new city-sponsored activities would you be interested in participating in, if any? The choices included from top to bottom: clubs and social groups, cooking, dance lessons or events, enrichment and learning, fitness, sports, including bocce ball, pickleball, support groups, day or night trips, or other. The majority of those 60 plus are most interested in enrichment and learning programs at 36.8%. Clubs and social groups was 31.5%, and 29% are interested in fitness. And lastly, 28% are interested in day or overnight trips. Reading through these comments, people shared they would attend the arts-related programs and events, such as art walks, theaters, concerts, painting, festivals, in addition to various fitness-type programs. The fourth question, what are the most important reasons you go to events, whether it's city-sponsored or otherwise? The response choices included from top to bottom: to meet new people, for the food, for the beer, wine, or cocktails, for the entertainment, to do something with friends, to do something with family, to try, to learn, or experience new things, or other. 59% of the 60 and over group attended programs and events mainly to try or learn or experience new things. 58% attended for the entertainment, and 44% wanted to do something fun with friends. Other reasons that people listed as to why they attended these programs was to connect with fellow community members with fellow community members of or support their community, both people and businesses. And some people just plainly weren't interested. The final question was any other comments or suggestions about city programs and events. This was more of an opportunity for people to make general comments. What we read in this is that the community appreciates their parks, recreational programs and events, and their library system. Those who participated in programs and events enjoy them and are eager to return, getting out and enjoying the opportunities within their community. We also learned that we need to think about how we market and advertise our programs and events, especially to the 60 and over crowd. So moving forward, what's our plan? We are getting ready to send out another flash vote regarding volunteer opportunities. Questions will include if people are interested, and if so, what types of things are they interested in, and how often would they like to volunteer. After a long dormant period, FAB programming is returning beginning August 16th. The various social groups have been contacted and have been invited to return as a select day that their specific group would like to meet. We will have rooms ready and the coffee on. We do have our fall 2021 schedule. However, noting that there is the Delta variant and COVID being on a rise, we are hesitant to overprogram in this fall, and we are being very cautious. There are also 2 vacancies on the adult programming team, and we are thrilled to move forward and be filling those vacancies in the fall. Our FAB programming will be free during fall 2021, and we will reinstate our memberships beginning in January 2022. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Christy. I have a couple of comments and questions, and then I'll turn it over to the commissioners, and then we'll bring on public comments. So, Christy, one of the things I saw in there is 39% of people have not attended any of the programming. Did you ask the questions of why?
We did ask the questions of why, and I'm not sure if that piece is in here.
Yeah, and a lot of the reasons why, a lot of people just don't know about them, and because we made sure that we specifically asked before the pandemic, and we were surprised to see how many people did not know about them. I think that was our Christy's comment about we probably need to look at marketing a little bit differently. But what's interesting is what people said that they would like to do are often things we're already doing. So I just think that people they're not connecting with Parks, Recreation, and Libraries as a place for them to go for their social things, unless they've done it once. Then I think once that happens, they're coming back more and more.
So a lot of objections that older people give about going to events like this. It could be anything from mobility to transportation to time of day. And I know that you guys are experts in this, so you know all of that. Has there ever been any conversations about bringing programming to the neighborhood level so that they don't have to come all the way to a Maidu Park or to a public space?
We have talked about expanding our programming that we currently do at Maidu, our FAB programming, to not only exist at Maidu, but potentially exist also on the west side. We haven't specifically addressed if we are shifting programs to beyond those areas at this point, but we are certainly open to any recommendations as we plan to move forward.
Thank you. Questions from the commissioners?
I've got a comment, Christy. I know I live in a active 55 and over community in West Roseville, and we have a lot of transplants from the Bay Area who know nothing about Roseville, and they have no idea of everything that's available to them. So I think that's a target group, maybe as people begin to move in from other areas, looking at, how can you selectively target those? And I think the other area that is many of these 55 and over communities are kind of self-contained when it comes to things to do. They have many things, or they mimic what the city does. Mm-hmm. So you're basically in competition with them. So just a thought, because I'm involved in my community, and many people are just satisfied with what our community provides them, and they don't take part in a number of the city programs.
And I also think people don't understand the value of socialization, how that can actually save their lives. So I think now is the perfect time with COVID and people being isolated is a great opportunity to do some more education.
Right. Just to address Commissioner Perry's comment, we actually have been just discussing the fact that how the demographics of Roseville have been changing with the Bay Area, the influence and influx of people from the Bay Area, and the expectations that people who live in a larger metropolitan city, their expectations for cultural type events and things. We just started talking about this. I'm not just, but we've been talking about it. But lately, all of a sudden we're talking about how do we want to address it, not just for the senior population or the older adults in Roseville, but really across the board, right? How do we look at this a little bit differently, knowing that we have a whole different set of residents? I mean, that number's been growing for years, but I think that when COVID hit, I think people are like, we're out. We're out and we're moving up here, so.
And also the 55 age group still have kids in high school often. They have parents who are 20, 25 years older than them. So that aging group like that is quite diverse. So I don't know if there's intergenerational activities and other things that are more grouped in that can attract them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good input.
Other questions or comments from the commissioners? No? From the public? And also want to remind people that you can call in and give public comments. That phone number is 916-774-5353.
Okay, my name is Penny Beingesner. I was up here before. I have volunteered as a senior commissioner for over 10 years and a senior volunteer at Maidu for over 20 years. Many people know me, and this past year I have fielded many comments and questions about the senior program in Roseville, specifically at Maidu. Many people have wondered why or when the FAB program was starting. Happily, it's due to start on Monday, August 16th, but in a very abbreviated way. Many people are disappointed that it didn't start sooner when other cities surround us had started, and that the youth program this summer was a robust program. The children were not vaccinated and the seniors were, but there was absolutely nothing for seniors. Now, only half of the FAB program will be going into effect, and no coffee, which has been a big bug of some people. We've been told if you want coffee, bring your own cup, bring your own coffee, bring your own food, and don't share. They also have not brought back the senior volunteers, of which I'm very bummed. I thought it would be lovely if on the first week, senior volunteers could have welcomed the seniors back to MyDo, but absolutely nothing. I have heard nothing about the senior volunteer at MyDo. Also, one other thing about that, you need to have written programs to give out to the seniors. A lot of seniors hesitate to use computers. They don't feel competent. I searched trying to find them, and I'm fairly familiar with computers. And people tell me, oh, well, their kids can do it for them. Well, that's not always a timely answer. So again, having good programs. We used to have the newsletter that has not been available, and I was led to believe that it was not going to be out right away. So I'm disappointed in MyDo. As a senior facility, I would like to see it greatly expanded around Roseville, and many years ago I made that suggestion, and they didn't have a place for it. But I would really like to see more programs, and I have had comment that the seniors want the exercise programs back at MyDo.
Penny, I appreciate your comments. Thank you for sharing. Do we have other public comments or any phone calls? Again, the number is 916-774-5353. Are we allowed to still take comments from the commissioners?
You can circle back in.
Okay.
I just want to reiterate the issue that Commissioner Perry brought up, which is that people who live in the over 55 community really don't have the same social structure needs in terms of their community offers them quite a bit. When the survey was taken, was there any attempt to try to separate out the fact that 39% don't know anything about it because they actually live in a community that they don't pay much attention to outside their community programming? Because I think that 39% is kind of horrifying percentage, but yet on the other hand, when I look at the community in Sun City, Roseville, I could see that there are a lot of people who took that survey, and I was one of them, would say, well, no, I don't really know much about it because I really stay within my community. So is there any chance that we could work on some sort of partnership with those larger groups? West Park is just across Finiment from us, and get, some sort of work going in that way so that at least the information about some people are unaware that Riley Library is on Pleasant Grove, which I find horrifying, but it is true. And so because so many of us have moved from other areas into that kind of community, which offers enough, that it really is difficult to get that communication inside that community. And I'm a kind of person that once I moved here, because I had family here, I got out into the community more than people I know who've moved into the Sun City community and just pretty much stay inside what we call the sidewalks and don't go out much. And I think that that's really a detriment to both those seniors who don't get that bigger variety of the world, as well as to the community because they're unaware of the volunteer potential and ways that they can integrate in with it, intergenerational groups.
Thank you.
Do you want to answer that? Or I just want to, you asked, the first question you asked was regarding the filtering. Can we get the information from the, like the people that commented, did they live in Sun City? We can't get to that level of detail on the survey. The second part of what you asked about was, is there a way to partner with some of these places? Absolutely, but if you really looked at some of the comments in there were like, I don't need it, I don't want it, I live in these communities. It's just not something they're interested in. It might happen like, they have friends that don't live in the communities that maybe bring them to an event, but partnering would be awesome. I mean, because then that just gets the word out, and that would be a great thing to do, and certainly we're not opposed to any of that at all. We're also trying not to limit the population of things, right? I mean, there are some things that will be older adult specific, but that we're trying to make that window of people a little bit broader. So that's why we have the FAB program, the 50 and better, and so that we're really addressing and programming for a broader age group, with the idea that hopefully people will start with us and stay with us, as they start to age. I don't know if I answered your question, but certainly the partnering is something that we certainly could look. I mean, that would be great for us, especially because they have facilities. They have other facilities on that side of town and stuff. So I don't know if I cut you off.
Well, and Penny had mentioned about having some type of informational so people understood the programs that we're offering. And we just sent it out to all of our FAB members, all of our activities that we're going to be running this fall. So we have about 16 activities that we're running. And really it's for us, we're honing in on our most popular, most requested ones, because our ultimate goal really is we do want to grow this programming. We want it to exist on both sides of town. We want to be able to draw in a variety of age groups within that FAB grouping and figure out what it is that they want. As we also get more staff on board, that also creates a great opportunity for us to be able to grow these and create new and really even look at the ones that we've offered in the past and change them up a bit to make them even better. So that's something that we're really looking forward to. We wish we could do it right now, but we also understand that, this is going to take a little time as we are also slowly coming back.
Do you have any plans for outreach, say at booths at grocery stores, handing out material, doing things like that, where you're letting the public know?
We haven't talked about that specifically, but right now we're still in the process of planning on how we want to get more information. We've talked about doing focus groups. Now that we have this survey and we have a lot of data, does it behoove us to hold some focus group nights to really hone in on what are we missing? The current group that is doing the visioning planning is a wide variety of ages, and we did that on purpose, right? Because we want to make sure that we are kind of, touching all these different areas. And so, I think for us to have booths in places or informational items is something we will absolutely have on the list. It's just a matter of where's the best spot to put them.
Because that's how the SPCA and humane societies all over the country get a lot of awareness. So, it's very important that older adult issues be out there and in front of the public.
Sure.
A few years ago, I hand-delivered copies of FAB, the publication, to 6 55 and over communities in West Roseville, Raley's, CVS, Social Security office, and the waiting room at Sutter Hospital, and was hoping to see if we can in some way measure, did that increase, any programs in FAB, but we had no way of measuring that. But those were the areas that I targeted that were frequented by seniors. Particularly CVS and Walgreens, where a number of older adults go to pick up their prescriptions and what have you. So in your outreach, you might consider some of that.
Thank you.
That information you have, will that be available at MyDo on the 16th?
It sure is. And it's on our website, and we also sent it out to everybody with a past FAB membership.
If you didn't have a past FAB, it will be there, so somebody could go and pick it up.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Any final questions? All right, thank you. So we'll move on to agenda item 6.5, Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Park Ambassador Program. Kathy.
All right, good afternoon again. I am here to share this item, and the next item is just something that's department-wide that we felt like the Senior Commission should be aware of. We are starting a new program, which is the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Park Ambassador Program. So what is the definition? The Park Ambassadors are volunteers who serve in a customer service role and have a positive presence at an assigned park, recreation, or library facility. Park ambassadors will support staff in the community, in the parks, and at city events and programs, or at rental events that they might be assigned to. Ambassadors will receive applicable training for their role and will be easily identified by wearing a special attire and or name badge with the Park Ambassador designation. The purpose of the program, it affords an opportunity for the Roseville residents to connect with the Parks, Recreation, Libraries Department and the community as well, and to become more engaged on an ongoing basis in our city's parks, programs, and neighborhoods. The ambassadors will provide additional eyes and ears in the parks as they observe activities and park conditions. They will enhance the level of customer service in our parks and facilities by assisting patrons as needed, and will improve safety by identifying areas of concern. Additionally, the ambassadors will offer support to the staff during city events and programs as assigned. This kind of, if you all remember from years ago, we had a commissioner who was very much into volunteering, and he was very motivated by that. And he talked a lot about transportation, but he also talked a lot about older adults being able to volunteer in the parks as well. So this we thought would be a good program for that age group. Ambassador responsibilities will be greet patrons, program and event participants, and rental organizers. Will provide information and assistance to patrons. They'll observe park, facility, and or program activity. They'll communicate concerns and or safety issues to our staff. They'll provide assistance to staff during city programs and events and or rental events. Complete quality assurance evaluation surveys in the parks for programs, again, with facilities and events. And we also perform other duties as identified. As we are creating this program, as we see different things come up, we would certainly consider putting those on the list of responsibilities. They will also be responsible to report some concerns, things like graffiti, any hazards in the park, water irrigation issues, vandalism, non-functional items such as like the security lights in the parks or things like that, and then any concerns that they actually recognize when they're out there. So the rollout of this program, in August, we will do we'll have a social media presence out there advertising the program. We've also, we have our new experience PRL, which is our new activity guide. We changed the name of that. There's an ad in there for that. We'll do some advertising on the website and targeted neighborhood associations. In early September, we'll do some training. The training will include our safety first, observe, and report. Difference between education of park rules and enforcement. No one would be required to enforce a park rule. And then we plan to have we're working on right now, a reporting app so that if there's something to report, they can do it right from their phones or an iPad in the park. In mid-September, we'll start small with specific sites at Maidu and at Lucan Park. We will add other sites depending on volunteer interest, and then as things continue to grow, we plan to expand to special events and or picnic rentals and permitted, different permits that people have to use different parks and facilities in Roseville and fields as well. So today, you are one of the first people to see, in fact, I don't even think Christy has seen this, the new park PRL Ambassador logo. So that will be, who knows, if one of you decide you want to be that, you might have that, nice big logo on your chest or on a shirt. But we're super excited about that program. So this is just an informational thing for everyone. This does not require any vote, but I just wanted to share that program with you guys and see if you had any questions that I can answer.
Thank you, Kathy. Do we have questions or comments from commissioners?
Have you ever considered any kind of mentorship to be an intergenerational aspect to these ambassadors?
I don't know, but I think that's a great idea. I don't know if that, that's probably a really smart idea, especially depending on what's happening in the park. So I love that.
And then
Because one of the things I've identified watching my family is that those middle school and high schoolers don't have a lot of service opportunities, and this might be a great way to connect them into the city. And then if they are paired up with an older adult who they get to know and have some sort of friendship or relationship develop, I think it would be very strengthening in the community.
Right, and we actually spoke about the fact that there are seniors who need projects to get their points, or I don't know what they get to be able to graduate. And so this is not limited to older adults. This program is not an older adult it's a citywide program, and so we actually thought about the seniors. That might be something that would be of interest to that age group.
So that
I'd like to PS on that, because we've worked with the schools, and the older people love working with the younger people. I have my mom. She said, don't put me in an older community, only where I can speak to older people about drugs, divorce, and disease and hospitals. I like going with the younger people, and we've had a couple of times with younger people that are so interested in the healthcare area and working with older people, and they've been exceptional in the work they do. Trying to connect to personal trainers who haven't had enough contact with people, so they're wondering if they should change their job, and we're connecting them with older people, and they love that, between the younger and the older, and I just think it's a great way to get to the school system, because they are looking for projects often.
Right, the volunteer service hours, is that the name of the program, I believe?
Yeah.
So how will you reach out to schools if that's on your list of recruits?
We have a relationship with the counselors at each of the high schools. We probably won't go younger than high school, but we have a relationship with them, and same with the colleges, because we do a lot of our recruiting through those for our part-time positions and stuff. So we would just connect with them to get that word out.
Say, Kathy, during the late August, September training or orientation, will that be open citywide, regardless of the parks you want to start at?
Yeah, I think that the training is more about process and procedural things, like what are your responsibilities. It's less about the actual park that you're at. And I think then depends on how many people decide they want to do that, and availability, and versus what's actually happening at the parks. At that point, I think then there will be site training so that you will know what you're looking for at these sites and stuff. So did I answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, I've certainly called you numerous times about things going on in the parks that I frequent, and so I would be interested in attending an orientation, and if it wasn't too time consuming, I wouldn't mind doing it.
Okay, well, so Tara G. in our department is overseeing this program directly. I will pass your name to her.
Thank you.
Be virtual training, or will it be in person?
I don't know that yet. I would. Right now, we're very much about doing it both ways. Like some of the stuff that and you're going to hear in a few minutes regarding surveying and stuff, we're really trying to do it both. So we can do it virtually, or you can be in person. So I'm guessing we would have the option for both.
Are we ready to open for public comments? So if you have public comments, you can dial the phone number that is 916-774-5353. And do we have anybody here in person who would like to make a public comment? All right. We'll listen for the phone ringing, see if anybody's calling in. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our next agenda item, which is 6.6, Park, Recreation, and Library Strategic Master Plan. Kathy?
Okay, well, it's my pleasure to present to you about our department's efforts to develop a new strategic master plan. Roseville Parks and Recreation last completed a master plan in 1995. And I said Parks and Recreation because at this time, libraries was not a part of our department yet. and so it wasn't included. So smaller plans have also been developed between now and then to assess how the department was performing and to provide guidance for decision-making. This includes our needs assessment from 2013 and an operational performance audit conducted in 2015. But in 2021, we realized we're in dire need of this. The city is growing just leaps and bounds. We're kind of in a new era, and it's long overdue. So we decided to move forward with this. So in April of this year, we issued an RFP for consultants to develop this strategic master plan for our department. The selected consultants is Pros Consulting out of Indianapolis. Pros is a full-service strategic master planning firm specializing in park and recreation agencies, open space planning, economic development, marketing, and branding. We know their extensive experience, having completed more than 400 Parks and Recreation master plans nationwide, will serve our department very well as we strive for a product that will provide a roadmap for our department for the next 10 to 15 years. The Nrpa Gold Medal is a pinnacle award in our field, recognizing the best Parks and Recreation agencies in the nation. As a matter of fact, Roseville Parks Recreation won a gold medal in 1972, and that's it right there. You can see it on the slide that Pros has completed planning projects for 55% of NRPA's gold medal winning agencies. And additionally, it is PRL's goal to become accredited, and Pros has completed planning projects for 40% of CAPRA's accredited agencies. And CAPRA is the governing body for Parks and Recreation accreditation. Their official title is Commission for Accreditation of Parks and Recreation. Because most Parks and Recreation agencies do not include libraries, Pros has included a specialized library consultant to ensure that libraries will be well represented and woven seamlessly into our plan. Thus, this will truly be a Parks, Recreation, and Libraries plan, so we definitely feel like we have enlisted the right team to do the job. So the plan will look at where we are today, where we're going tomorrow, and set a course on how to get there. So you can see determining where we are going today will include the following steps. So we have data review, park and facility review, benchmark analysis, a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, program and services assessment, library assessment, and then the level of standards. And then where we're going tomorrow will include staff and key stakeholder input, community survey, demographics and recreation trends, analysis review, needs prioritization, sports tourism, and a program plan. And then how do we plan to get there? Organizational analysis, financial plan, funding and revenue strategies, vision, mission, and value statements, and then the final strategic action plan. When we began this process 3 weeks ago on we began it 3 weeks ago on July 19th with several SWOT analysis sessions in which more than 50 of our staff participated. Up next, Pros will be conducting a needs assessment involving lots of public input. There will be 3 public meetings, both virtual and in person, where residents' input will be solicited. There will be stakeholder and focus group meetings in which you will be invited to participate. A random statistical valid survey will be conducted, as well as an electronic survey to maximize outreach. Assessment and analysis will be conducted on our facilities, levels of services, programs, service, and operation. They'll look at our capital improvement program as well as our role in sports tourism. And finally, after about 11 months, the plan will be completed and a formal presentation will be made to the commission. You will likely be hearing about this Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Master Plan many times in the coming year. I will be sure to update you, and certainly at the next commission meeting, we will provide an update as to where we are. But you'll hear through announcements of our public meetings, a special invitation to you all as stakeholder meetings, so you will all be invited to participate if you haven't yet. And you will be a recipient of you might be a recipient of the random survey, but even if you're not, then we encourage you to take the electronic survey that will be provided to the community. We will be presenting this plan to you at the conclusion when the work is done, but we wanted to make sure that you were aware of the undertaking of this effort and take this opportunity to provide you with the information. So at that, I can answer some questions.
Questions from the commissioners? Do we have any questions? Oh, go ahead.
How recently were libraries added into Parks and Rec?
Actually, it was 10 years ago. So at the time, it was 1, 2, 3, 4 directors ago. Oh, 2005? 2005, but it was 4 directors ago. So it was a while ago.
Because 10 years ago, I thought it was part of it, but I wasn't sure.
I'm wrong on 2005.
Yeah.
Christy reminded me. It's all a blur after a while. It was a while ago.
Yes.
It really was, though, to combine that. And then recently, in the last year and a half, we did a reorg where really we were trying to blend the divisions more so that we were utilizing our, strengths. Everyone was able to benefit from that, and kind of our resources were combined. And so I think that there's been a benefit from that happening. We've, the library side has learned from the recreation and the park side and stuff. So it's been an interesting mesh in our department.
So, Kathy, what size is your department? How many employees are there?
We have about 121 full-time employees, and we have up to 600 part-time employees.
Wow. And you're the director of this whole?
I am not.
No? Oh.
My title is Parks Recreation Manager, so Parks Recreation Libraries Manager. The director is Jill Geller.
Gotcha.
I think she came to a meeting, didn't she? Okay.
All right. Do we have questions from the public? Any comments? If you are in the viewing audience and you want to call and make a public comment, the phone number is 916-774-5353. Okay, we will move on. So our next agenda item is 6.7, Commission Goals. So Kathy, I know this is more of a discussion, correct? We're going to talk about what our commission goals have been in the past and where we want to go from here.
Right, and especially because we have 2 new commissioners, and we've had 2 commissioners who have since termed out from the commission. But back in 2018 and 19, the commission had decided that there were 3 areas that they were interested in focusing their time and energy on. And really, I think that so the 3 are communication to the community, transportation for the older adult community, and then also education. And those 3 things came from the World Health Organization report. The city has a distinction to be called an age-friendly city, but every 5 years you're required to update your report. And the feedback that we received in the survey at that time was that there was 3 areas that that the community, there were areas where we could, the community felt like the city could improve upon. So the top 3 were communication, transportation, and education. Part of the transportation, though, was about traffic. So some of the stuff, this group, we can actually talk about education and do something. Some of this is going to be outside of the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department. However, information, certainly can be shared with them, and we can work with them. But I thought for the purpose of this meeting, we should probably circle back around again and see what it is that the commission wants to do regarding these goals, and then also provide an opportunity for Commissioner Ambrosi and Crawford to see if they're interested in being on either of the committees if this continues to move forward.
Right. So it was in 2019, I believe, that we got together and had like a half-day breakout sessions. Does that sound right? Over at Maidu Park, and that's how we came up with these committee meeting, or the each individual committee. We also at that time talked about what the goal of this commission is, and I don't know is that posted somewhere? Is that on the front of our packets here? What our actual goal is?
Lola, in fact, I think in the minutes that we approved today, in 6.4. is the commission responsibilities that Jill Geller spoke to us about. I think if we're going to review our subcommittee plans, we need to do that in light of the commissioner's responsibilities, because some of that has changed from the past.
Right. So that's a good point in the discussion group. So do we want to do what we did before and have a half-day breakout where we discuss all of this, or is this something that we want to put on the agenda each time to try to hone in on?
I think we need a breakout again. I mean, this has been 18 months, and we've lost, or as Kathy said, we have had 2 commissioners termed out. We've got some new people with new ideas. Mike just arrived before the COVID shut us down, so it's like 3 new commissioners. So I think a half-day or breakout session, and let's revisit it in light of our responsibilities.
That I think we really need to relook at this, given the survey, given input we've had regarding the communication and education piece and where you see our responsibilities. And we can partner with other people or at least give them the information. So I think a lot has changed and a lot of time has gone by.
The other thing to mention, too, is that through the strategic planning process, there will be a needs assessment. I think I mentioned that in there, but we might glean information from that as well.
Right. And there's other things that are outside the Parks and Recreation Department, such as the transportation, as sidewalks and walkways that, we may not have any jurisdiction over, but we have some influence on.
Absolutely.
And so those are definitely things that we need to talk about.
When would we have this breakout session?
I will leave that up to you, but we can plan a time. The last time we did it, I think it was on a Friday. We spent the morning, it was like 8 to noon or something like that. We brought in lunch and, I don't remember exactly, but we went through and the process that we followed is we sort of had everybody send me a list of what they felt this commission should be spending some time on. That was originally how this started. And then we actually combined all that and we put it on a chart and let everybody go through and do like the little sticky tabs to see what people were most interested in. And the ones with the highest number of votes is where the commission chose to spend their energies.
And it was also under the direction of the WHO. We had done a survey and where people gave us input and what we saw the communication and education and transportation were the people's biggest issues. So we guided it on that. So we had some guidance.
Would that be here? Or somewhere else?
I think we would probably do it at one of our facilities, like at Maidu or at the Mahaney Riley Library, the meeting rooms there. A little bit more informal setting, so that people can move around the room if necessary. Unless you'd rather have it here.
No, Maidu, if there's a room available,
Yeah.
would be good, or one of the other facilities.
Right. So what I can do is I can go through and look to see what's available. Right now, there's a lot available because of the nature of our limited programming and stuff. But see what's available and give you some options, and then you can just respond back to me and let me know what works best.
Do we need to do a motion and vote on that? Nope. Okay, do we need public comments on? Okay.
For sure.
Public comments on us getting together and doing a work group breakout session and the topics we're talking about? Penny?
My one thought is, when is the WHO report? Every 5 years, you're supposed to look at it again, and that might play into it. When is the next report due?
Oh, gosh. Probably in another 2 years, I believe, is when we need to update that.
Yeah, it's close.
And we're going to have a lot of information, like with the strategic plan, right at the end. There's just going to be so much data and so much information and one of the things I specifically, talked with the director about is like making sure that we're hitting the age group stuff, right? So that we know that, we'll be asking specific questions about older adults and what it is that older adults, think that the city, what we're missing, what are we not doing that, or even facility-wise, what facilities and amenities should we be looking at, so.
So when are you doing some of that assessment? Because I think we need that to move forward with what some of our direction
Yeah,
is.
I don't have that timeline. I just know that the report's supposed to be done like by June of next year. So right now, we are scheduling for early September all the these focus groups or the public meetings. So they're going to be, it'll be like early September all day. Our consultant will be here, and he will be conducting these focus groups with some of the smaller, like the commissions and even some of our other stakeholders that are involved. And then he's also going to do several community-wide things. And he said that they have had really great response during COVID, oddly enough, because they've been able to do things virtually. And so normally when you would get a community meeting, they would get, 30, 50 people, and they were getting like 300 people to attend now because they didn't have to leave their home. So he was like, I think we're going to keep this, so now that it's an option, so.
Yeah,
One of my thoughts is that this is a great time to revamp because they haven't had anything. The community has been pretty restricted. So as we re-enter, there's a great opportunity to make good change and do what we need to do without everybody saying, but we always did it that way, so that we can have a little bit more openness to new ideas and changing things up.
Agreed.
I think the information from the flash vote is it's very telling. So I think when we do meet, we should have that available to us.
Right. And we'll also have the PowerPoint said that we were going to launch it soon, the one about the volunteer. It actually got launched yesterday. I was meeting with the survey guy. He's like, you want to do it tomorrow? I was like, I forgot to update the PowerPoint. But I was like, absolutely. So it got sent out yesterday at 11 a.m. So I'm interested. And what they'll do is they send it out. And then like today, if they haven't already, they'll send out a reminder. They send out one reminder. So you see like the majority of the people actually respond in the first day, in the first several hours. And then you'll see another bump up again when they do the reminder. Because, it's 5 questions. So people can just, quickly get it done. And it's just a great little resource. I mean, there's not much thinking other than the questions. You just get that out there and you get results quickly. It's fabulous.
Now, can we invite city council members to be part of our work group?
If you'd like.
Because we do have one of the city council members assigned to this commission, right?
Do we? I'm sure we do.
I think somebody's supposed to oversee it from the city council, or at least be notified of certain things.
I don't know about that, but I know Scott Alford has taken an interest in us and has attended off-site meetings with us in the past. So Scott Alford might be interested.
I can ask. I know that there are certain commissions that certain council people actually have to be on, things that have to do with like electric and water and things like that, where the city needs to have a voice on a political level. But I don't know of an actual council member that oversees this commission specifically, like one.
Okay.
Is there any way we can ask, and anybody who has an interest that would like to come, because there's new council members, so.
I'm happy to invite them, and it's a public meeting. It will be noticed, and it'll be put on the city's website, and it's a public meeting, so the public is welcome to come as well.
Great.
Just thinking about this with Natasha here, some of the research that she did regarding the transportation issue would be helpful as well, because that was definitely one of our subcommittees. So maybe we can see some of that as well, and or if we come up with questions, Natasha, if we could just get a hold of you.
And it
Thank you.
continues to come up. I get that because, again, I'm an advocate for some of the older people, and that is always to the top of their list. They get across county lines because nonprofits don't cross the county lines. And I know Seniors First is working on that, so I absolutely know that answer. But that's come up for a long time, and it's really difficult for people to walk a block. They don't understand that. And we do have Kaiser and Sutter, and we have people who go to UC Davis, so we cross lines all the time. So yeah, transportation is going to continue to be a huge issue.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm thinking, though, for the process, the question was, when will the surveys, I think that's what you asked me, Bobby, too, before, and I know we're scheduling them now. I'm thinking that we want to wait till those are completed and that we have data from that, right? So I will check to see when that is. Now, let me ask you this. If, in fact, that the data is not available until January 1 or whatever, is that okay? Do you want to wait then, or do you want to do something in the short term?
Short term.
I agree.
We can always backfill when more information arrives. I know I took the flash vote for volunteering yesterday, so it came out. I know that.
I think we have a sense of the direction and where we need to go. I think the surveys and all your information will probably fine tune some of the things that we already know are there.
All right, that sounds great.
So any final comments, public comments about the commission goals? No? Okay. So we'll move on. Number 7 on our agenda. This is our board member commissioner staff report. Staff, do you have any updates or comments for the commission?
I think I've spoken enough today, so I think we're good.
Commission members, do you have comments or updates for the staff?
Yes, I do. I've been sitting around for a year and a half, and I'm ready to go.
Let's do it. Thank you all, by the way, for your patience with this. I know that it has been crazy. Even times when I'm like, I feel like next month we're going to, nope, wrong. So hopefully, the curve will turn and things will get better a little bit, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to meet. So we'll see how that all goes with the variant.
Is that a day at a time, or some things are changing? Some of our other meetings are changing back to Zoom or back to things. So there's no discussion of that.
There's been no discussion of changing formats. In fact, today the city manager, we had a managers meeting, and he shared, for him, he doesn't want to go backwards if we don't absolutely have to. Does that make sense? So certainly if we get word from the governor or from OSHA, who really is the group that we need to follow, then that'll be a different story. But as of right now, he's just really asking city employees to be cautious and to, if you're not vaccinated, wear a mask and, that kinds of stuff. So, and if you're interested in getting vaccinated, go do it, so get it done.
All right. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, great. So let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.